fans of Fantasy League One. I regret to inform you that I lost a game to the fantasy footballers this week, and even though I'm the number one seed and have been for weeks, and even though I've scored the most points in this, I don't think I can do it. I think I'm going to have to pass on the playoffs this as if. I'm sure you guys would love that. Listen, fantasy footballers, I'm sure that you've enjoyed your time on the big stage, like you're the Florida Gulf Coast of this league, getting a chance to run with the big dogs. And I know everybody loves an underdog story until that underdog gets a little too yappy, starts biting your ankles, because then that dog gets shipped upstate to live on a farm. And let me tell you something right now. I love you guys. I respect your humble beginnings, but when you were doing your little podcast from a rumpus room in Peoria with 4 other dudes who couldn't afford to get into the U of A, I was out there delivering fantasy championships because that is what I do and have been doing for years. So I'll give you a little gift for your participation. I will fly out to Phoenix. I will appear at the Portillo's in Tempe. I will let you take a photo with my championship belt. I'll let you do a little grin and grip because that is as close as you are going to get to it. So run along, little doggies, because this dog bites. Because the fantasy playoffs are going to be starting this week. And let's take a look at the scoreboard.
Yes, sir.
There it is, the scoreboard. The fantasy, oh boy. I actually didn't have a poor week, but those...
What, you were the 5th highest scorer this week? Yeah.
It wasn't bad. Well, my guy got, I've had like 15 guys go on the IR this week. And Taylor Made, she gave it a valiant effort, trying hard.
I can finish at 500 this year. That's pretty good.
I like
the way
it.
things went in the middle of the season for me.
And at some point, we're going to start having to talk about side wagers for you guys in the consolation bracket because I want you to remain entertained. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of leagues, and one of the things we did with Fantasy League One is we wanted to show people how much fun it is to play fantasy football. I think it's cool to keep people engaged in consolation brackets because I know some people want to be like, I lock up the waiver. No. We're not locking up the waiver wires. You can go pick up Raheem Moster.
I can?
Do it.
Okay.
I'll block the football. So you can go do that. Collusion? Oh, I'm sorry,
it's not
guys.
Collusion. It's just playing fantasy football.
It's just playing fantasy. What, Jason? You were the one online talking about how you don't like having the waivers locked up, so you're not getting Raheem Mostert. So deal with that. And we're going to be lamenting some of the players who have given us hard times this season. And I know our CP wanted to call it something else, but I think the lineage to the Rhodes family means that we should call this hard times. And Kimmy, you're going to get us started.
Hard times for any fantasy owner that has Odell Beckham Jr. It's time to let him go. He has kind of given us a contentious situation in fantasy football all season. I know in a personal league, I took him as my first round pick, and I was so fired up. So fired up, and he has done nothing. Now, we just found out that he's been dealing with a sports hernia, and there's been kind of some drama in Cleveland with the head coach and also some comments that Baker Mayfield has made. And at first, it was easy to point the blame at Odell, but then also at Baker and say, hey, you guys aren't performing. We had faith in you. But now to see that he's dealing with an injury, he's averaging 11 fantasy points on this season. He's had 2 games with 20-plus fantasy points.
Don't remind me.
I know. So, especially going...
way higher.
I know, especially going into the fantasy playoffs, I just don't think you can risk having Odell Beckham Jr. on your roster. It's sad. I hope he gets better. I think all fantasy owners would love to see him back on the rise. Right. But hard times for you, hard times for me as your fantasy owner did.
Feels like somebody we're going to be able to get on the cheap next year, and
right?
I'm looking forward to drafting
maybe
him
on a different team too.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, he's playing through.
I know that hurts your feelings.
If he's got a sports hernia and he's playing with it through it, I don't think that he wants to leave the Browns side.
Probably.
Because otherwise he could have just had the surgery and he would be done. But let's move this on. Hard times for me. Matt Prater. And really, you know what? It comes down to the kicking.
Kicker news?
What? This is the
kicker
thing.
News?
Kicking. I hate kickers. I'm sorry. I don't mean that in a bad way. Wow. I don't mean that in a bad way at all.
I hope this goes viral.
No. But here's my thing. Matt Bryant, I had to cut you from my team earlier this year. Matt Prater seemed like a solid pickup. You know what? I could have a team. I could play a team. Like the team, like, hey, the Lions scored 31 points. You're like, cool. So what is that? 7? 4? No. No points from the kicker, though. Somehow I would manage to do that. In a league with one of my friends. He picked up Jason Sanders this week. If for no other reason, he saw him catch a touchdown last week, and now he goes and he picks up the guy who plays for the Dolphins, who goes on the road to the Meadowlands and somehow scores 24 points. And I got Matt Prater playing in a dome for a team that's not going to score touchdowns and gets 1 point.
But he's got a wicked Strasburg-level slider. Have you seen that?
Unbelievable. Garrett Cole should have a slider that nice. But Graham, what about you?
Sure.
Wait, is it Graham next? Yes, it is.
Yeah, sure. It's Tevin Coleman.
Boy.
Yeah, we've fallen on extremely hard times if you're a Tevin Coleman fantasy owner. He's basically been replaced by Raheem Moster over the last couple weeks. Mostert has played on 60% of the 49er snaps now in back-to-back games. Tevin Coleman saw his first carry in the 49ers' second drive in the third quarter. Just basically was not playing for the 49ers. Now Matt Breida's healthy, guys, and I I'm kind of like Kimmy here. I don't know if you can hold on to Tevin Coleman throughout the rest of the fantasy playoffs. He's basically just burning a hole on your roster.
Yeah, he's somebody that could probably be released right away. But Marcus, what about you?
Graham actually alluded to it a moment ago. It's Jamison Crowder, who really had some high hopes for, and he went for a few weeks where he was a really nice play. But it's pretty much been 3 weeks in a row that he's given you next to nothing. It's kind of coincided with the rise of Robbie Anderson. Apparently, the Jets' passing game cannot support 2 wide receivers. That is what I've learned recently. And if he's just going to get dump-offs and he's going to get you like 25 to 30 yards a game, there are plenty of other guys out there on the way. Hey, look, A.J. Brown's on the waiver wire in a ton of leagues. I mean, instead of struggling with Jamison Crowder, why not go get A.J. Brown and plug him in next week against the Houston Texans?
The guy that you didn't start.
Right.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, what good is it to have A.J. Brown on your team if you're not starting him?
Makes for great content, though.
Yeah.
know?
Well, he had that tough matchup against the Raiders. So, hey, that was hard times. We're going to be doing one of our favorite segments called Yeet or Beat. Actually, we've done this. Yeah, we've actually done this one a couple of times. It's been whammy. It was press your luck.
Press your luck.
Whammy, no whammy.
Whammy, no.
We did the side swipe thing, and we started talking about my history with Match.com, and so it got weird. So we're trying Yeet or Beat, and I'm assuming Beat is not good.
Yeah,
or beat like you're going to beat your opponent.
No, it's like you're beat, like you're not good.
Yeah.
So you're not good. Okay,
you don't want to get beat.
That's the connotation. Okay, let's talk about Raheem Moster. We talked about picking him up.
I got you.
I hope you did that already.
I got you. Here, I'll do
when
it
you were
right
screwing
now.
around.
I'll do it right now.
Go put in the waiver claim right now.
Do it right
I
now.
know I need it for myself, but I'm like just blocking the football. But what about Raheem Mostert? It seems like the time we trust a 49ers running back, he's going to end up ruining us.
It always ends up in sorrow, right? I mean, we were trusting Tevin Coleman after that big Panthers game, and that just hasn't worked out since then. And Matt Breida came back into our lives, and we want to always play Matt Breida because he's so good and so talented. But he only got 7-8 touches this past week. I do think we can trust Raheem Mostert, but again, Kyle Shanahan can always rear his ugly head and decide to give Tevin Coleman 20 carries. But I do think we can get excited about Mostert.
Kimmy, would you? I was just gonna say, if he just beat your team, would you feel comfortable?
Bro, do we need to bring that up right now?
No, I'm sorry. Why are we talking about old stuff?
I don't know, but I would yeet on him.
That sounds unsavory.
I think that's a different show. So I think you were saying you would play him because it seems like
we've lost Kimmy.
A pretty good opportunity.
We've lost Kimmy.
Okay.
They're playing the Falcons.
Yeah.
All right, reeling it back in. They're playing the Falcons. Falcons are literally abysmal against running backs. They're giving up, I think, 22, 23 points against them. I know he's going to split time with Tevin Coleman, but I think you can play.
Right? Well, you got there. Yeet. All right, you got there. We're happy with that. Deante Johnson. We kind of thought it was going to be a James Washington week, but what about Deante Johnson?
Yeah, I'm with you on that too.
I might have to beat. This might be a beat for me.
So he's going to help you beat your opponent.
Just because it's so uncertain, right?
You're gonna get beat if you play Deante Johnson.
Yeah, I mean last week was nice, but nobody was
good.
checking for this. Okay. James Washington is still there. I mean, let's not forget, there's still a chance Juju could come back too at some point, right?
I remember Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, remember that guy?
Yeah.
Remember that guy? I spent the second-round pick on him. Yay!
It was the pick right after me.
Yeah,
when we were doing the
Mike
what
Evans.
if, I was like, oh, I could have gone.
You thought
Juju
you were doing
there.
me a favor, and
I'll do Marcus a solid. I'll take Mike Evans instead.
Yeah.
I had Mike Evans all over the place. What about Zach Pascal? He was an interesting name. I think. How do you feel about Zach Pascal? You're kind of.
I don't know. Last week I had a huge hot take on Jack Doyle. I know that was one of Graham's #1 waiver wire picks.
My guy.
I co-signed that.
Yeah,
that was our guy.
I think everyone was really fired up about him. Rank did not have him in his top 12. Calm down. Calm down, tough guy.
The coughing contrarian over here.
But I think, the Colts backfield, not so great right now. I had assumed that Jack Doyle was going to see the majority of all offensive targets and weapons, but Zach Pascal this last week was that guy. So I do feel like you can play him, but I don't know. It's kind of a mess.
Yeah, it is a mess.
But Paris Campbell went on IR, so they literally have no wide receivers.
Yeah,
anymore.
the Colts are literally down just to Pascal and Marcus Johnson, who caught 2 huge bombs this past week. But yeah, I think we can maybe trust Pascal as like a low-end receiver, 3 or 4.
He seems a little bit more reliable as opposed to this next player who's kind of a that helps no one all-star, and it's Olamide Zaccheaus.
Yeah, that guy. And that's beat.
Definitely.
Beat.
I know he caught a 93-yard touchdown, but literally that was his first. That was like his first target of the season.
I think it's his only target of the
season. Right. Okay.
He's efficient.
If we gave too much, if I gave too much analysis on here, we would just have to rerun this tape over and over again because this was literally the only Zaccheaus tape.
Rerunning the tape.
But shout out to
a different angle.
Shout out to the person in my mentions who tweeted at me a column they wrote back in August that hyped this guy as a super deep dynasty league sleeper. So props to you.
Well, you wrote a column on a guy who had 1 catch this season.
Oh, Calvin Ridley is on IR basically.
I know.
He's
that's
out
what
for
we're
the
talking
season,
about.
Yeah.
Ridley's on IR.
Russell Gage season.
Russell Gage, yeah.
Mike
I think
Evans.
He's the guy there.
Yeah.
Maybe a few more targets for Austin Hooper.
Zaccheaus kind of offended me because he's wearing Devin Hester's number. How dare you?
On the Falcon, well, yeah.
His Falcons number.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.